However, this morning, we are not going to be gathered online at the same time, though this will be posted on YouTube. We have lost our internet. We are also not going to have slides, so you're going to have to bear with me and actually use hymnals. So that's where we're at. Now, whether you are watching this later on YouTube or viewing it from another time zone or right here, we are glad you're part of our community and joining us. My name is Dee Evans, and I am a member of this congregation and a UU minister. If you are visiting, a special welcome to you. I hope that your time here will be meaningful. If you are here, I hope you will experience a very warm welcome. Please be sure to sign the guest book before you leave. Please let us know if you're on YouTube by emailing us at firstchurchalton@outlook.com. We began our worship service with a prelude by our accompanist, Joy Heff. A central ritual in the Unitarian Universalist faith is the lighting of our chalice. It symbolizes that we have entered a sacred space and are preparing our hearts for the blessing of a beloved community that happens whenever we gather. If you are I have to change the words here. Okay. If you are watching us on YouTube and have a chalice, please light it as I now invite you to join me as I light ours in the sanctuary. And I can't ask you to join me because there's no words on the screen, so I'll read them. We light this chalice to celebrate the inherent worth and dignity of every person, to reaffirm the historic pledge of liberal religion, to seek that justice which transcends mere legality and moves toward that of true equality, and to share that love which is ultimately beyond our cherished reason. That love is what unites us. Our opening words tonight are by Leah Angiri, Weavers of One Story. Here we are together, each facing our different human tasks, or maybe some central one, to embrace the lessons life delivers, to discern and respond as we grow, to refuse harm and cherish flourishing. May we know ourselves as vessels of infinite possibility, holders of each other's heartaches and tales of joy alike, weavers of one story in which we have a part. Please stand if you are willing and able and join us in singing number 1018 in the green hymnal. Come and go, land. Come and go with Usually we have a slide on our that tells us where the hymn is from. This hymn is an African American spiritual from the slavery period. The arrangement is by Kenny Smith. We share in a ritual of joys and sorrows. The stones we put in the bowl, which is right there, represent our joys and sorrows. If you would like to place stones in the bowl, please go down the aisle, this aisle here, and then come up through the back with stones. There's a bowl of stones in the back, and there's some stones here. If you're watching this at home, you may want to take stones and place them in a bowl. May we all hold a place of comfort and support for ourselves and each other. Please remain seated while we sing a hymn that speaks about being in the here and now. Join us in singing hymn number 9, No Longer Forward Nor Behind, and that's in the gray hymnal. We have slides. The reading today is Take What You Need and Leave Behind the Rest from Take What You Need Life Lessons by Jen Crow. Some of the best advice I received with this, in whatever situation you find yourself, take what you need and leave the rest behind. Don't waste your energy arguing. Just take what you need and leave the rest behind. Over the years, I found that this advice works not only for family gatherings and 12-step meetings, but the larger project of spiritual living too. And the best news of all is this taking of what we need and leaving the rest behind isn't only a one-time thing. We can do it anytime. Looking back over our lives, we hear our stories anew, choosing where to focus our attention and where to widen our view. We can let go of old ways of understanding that no longer serve us, and we can wiggle our way free, becoming meaning makers and storytellers in our own lives. We get to choose what we need in a given moment, and what we need gets to change. I would like you, as one of our hymns said, to come on a journey with me. I'd like you to come on a journey with me to a deli. Just a deli, could be any deli, someplace that has a counter, that has clerks behind it, has all the things you expect in a deli. So come with me there. And the other hymn we sung talked about being in the present moment. And one day, standing in line in the deli, instead of just letting my mind wander, I stayed and watched things. And then at that moment, I realized all the life lessons learned from going to the deli. Now, let me talk about one of the first lessons I learned. I'm an activist, and every time I've heard things in training for activists, it was call out the injustice, call out the racism, call out the misogyny, call it out. And that's correct. When we see something wrong, we should call it out. But it doesn't mean Every time we see something wrong, we should call it out. I'm standing in the deli one day, and they have a clerk who has had a clerk who has what I will describe as attitude: sarcastic, belittling, dismissive of the customers. I didn't like dealing with him. He didn't cut the meat well. One day, he became very confrontive and nasty to a customer. And unlike most of us, this man who was a customer didn't take it. He said, "Now look at Mr. Young," meaning that the guy was young, which I thought was pejorative. He then proceeded to go on and berate the young man. Well, all of the customers, we just kind of moved back a little and looked at each other. And yes, I will be honest, there was a part of me that rejoiced, because I would have liked to have said that to that gentleman. The problem is, I did not know if the young man was like that because he was socially inept and did not know what else to do, or if he thought what he said was funny because he would often laugh, or if he just so hated his job that that was his way of dealing with customers. So I didn't say anything, and I didn't say anything to management because I didn't want to get him fired. I mean, I could deal with him for just a few minutes. But I began to wonder at that point, is calling everything out always necessary? Is it really? A few days later, I'm at the deli and calls a number, and the woman comes up and very quietly says to him, "I'm waiting for that clerk over there. I'll wait. You can take the next customer." He says, "You can't do that. You have to come when your number's called." She said, "Young man, yes, I can." And then literally turns like this and turns away from him. He had no choice but to call the next number. And I thought, wow, she didn't create a scene. She didn't confront him. She just turned away from him. A few weeks later, I was at the deli, and the young man was no longer there and it wasn't busy. So I asked one of the clerks who I knew, "What happened to that guy?" And she said, "Oh man," she said, "everybody complained to management about him, but it didn't do any good because we can't get any help. And so they just decided a body was better than nobody, and the customers could deal with it." However, customers refused to let him wait on them. And that refusal meant they simply had to move him to another department. And I thought, oh, yeah, you don't always have to call everything out, but there's another way you can handle it. But I also thought about something that the Buddhists teach. The Buddhists teach about right action, and that action should be effective. And I thought about the confrontation by the man and the employees complaining and management doing nothing. It wasn't effective. So, in kind of one incident, I learned two lessons through the deli. One is, not everything has to be called out. And the second thing is, even if it's a little act, I need to ask myself, is it effective? The older I get, the more precious life gets. And I began to realize I don't want to do ineffective things anymore. Now, I want to say one caveat to this. I'm not saying if you see racism, inequality, misogyny, or any injustice, do not be quiet about it. I'm not saying that. Please don't misunderstand me. But look at some things, they may not need to be called out. It was a lesson for me to learn. Now, another day I'm at the deli. Yeah, I go to the deli a lot, and you'll learn this through through my stories. And I'm standing there, and this woman comes up on crutches, and I couldn't see her face. She punches the little screen to get her number, takes her number, and as she turns around, you could see the waves of pain going over her face. She was hurting. Next customer gets called, and he turns to the clerk and he says, I want you to take her. And the clerk started to tell him, and this was not the man who was gone by then, the young man that was sarcastic. She turns to him and says, Sir, we go by numbers. He walks over to the woman in pain and says, Here is my number. May I have yours? Oh my goodness. I've heard about random acts of kindness, but who knew I would see one at the deli? Who knew that random acts of kindness are not just, can I help you put your groceries in your trunk when you see somebody struggling? But it could be something that could be so meaningful, but yet so little, exchanging a ticket with somebody to give them your place. And the second thing I thought about that is that inconvenienced that man. There were 5 people between him and that person. So he had to wait longer. I thought, oh, sometimes what we call random acts of kindness have a price. And sometimes I don't want to pay it. And yes, that's my choice. But sometimes it's such a little price, I ask myself why I walked away. That's another lesson I learned at the deli, how to be kinder. Our principles say we have compassion for each other. We have compassion. And that man taught me something about compassion that I hadn't realized before. Another night, I'm standing at the deli, and this guy comes up, very officious, pushes through the people, gets up to the counter and says, I'm in a hurry. The clerk looks at him and says, Sir, we take people by their numbers. Well, I'm in a hurry. I'm sorry, sir. We take people by their numbers. Finally, when his turn comes, he goes, You're going to have to slice faster. I need to get out of here. She turns to him and says, Sir, the slicers only go so fast. Turns back and just continues. So, okay. A couple of days later, I'm back, and another man comes up, and I don't know why they were men. They were just men. He doesn't cut through the line, but when he gets to the clerk, he says, I'm in a hurry. You're really going to have to get this order out to me quick, and you people can move a lot faster than you're moving. And she turns to him, she says, Sir, I realize you're in a hurry, and for that reason, I'm going to get this order out as quick as I possibly can. He goes, Oh, okay. So later when he leaves, I knew the clerk and there weren't many people behind me. I said to her, Why were you so nice to that guy? I said, I know he's a customer, but to tell you you're going to have to work faster is kind of outside the box. She turns to me and she says, You know, sometimes just putting yourself second, it doesn't hurt. Sometimes people need to feel important, and it doesn't hurt to make me feel important. And I go, Ooh, there's a word for that. It's called humility. Now, I'm good at humility in some things. For instance, I know that if it weren't for 2 congregations, this one and Abraham Lincoln, I would not be a minister today. I am very humble about that. I know when people give me help. But I've never been good with officious people. I've never, ever thought about humbling myself. And maybe for some reason, give them first place What does it really matter? And she got the man out of there. It was less disruptive than the first incident. And I thought, maybe there's something that is effective about humility when you're dealing with people that you don't want to be humble with, that you want to let them know, or at least I want to let them know, let me say it that way. Hey, you're no more important than anybody else. And they're not. But sometimes it doesn't hurt to let them think they are and just take a step back. I thought a lot about the deli and the lessons I was learning. And one thing I don't have is patience. I admit it. Uh, I've been taken to task for it. When I set a plan, I want that plan to go forward. I expect everybody that's involved in the plan that we all work together and we get it done. Now, you know, and I know life isn't like that. And I get extremely frustrated and have very little patience when I think people aren't doing their part. And I don't have patience even with myself. I'm at the deli and I am watching people, and I'm watching the difference in people. Some get right up to the counter so that you can't even see the products, and they stand there impatiently and they're looking at the numbers. And I've had people say to me, how long is it going to take to get through this? And you're like, okay, I don't know, lady, but I'm with you. How long is it going to take to get through this? It takes forever. But then I saw other people. They stand back from the counter. They stand patiently. They don't move forward till the time comes. And with all the patience in the world, they walk up and say, I want. And they make the atmosphere so much nicer than those of us who rock from foot to foot and who wonder how long it's going to take to get through this line. And then I thought about the clerks. Oh my goodness. They will have patience that I think is beyond their job. I've seen people order something and then they go, oh, I didn't mean that salami. I meant the other one. Oh. And I heard, like a customer say, I want hard salami. Well, there's only one hard salami, right? Okay. The clerk very quietly says, okay, ma'am, no problem. Turns around, puts the salami aside, and cuts another pound of the salami the woman wanted. And I've noticed the clerks do that all the time. Now, they don't ever chastise, and I know they're dealing with customers, but you and I know you can go many places where you're treated rudely by people, but not these people. Once that young man was gone, not these people. They don't treat, they treat people with patience. If you make a mistake, it's okay. If you don't hear me calling your number, it's okay. I'll take care of you. It's just that kind of being able to not expect everybody to step in line the way I think they should step in line. That taught me something at the deli. I am really working on being patient. So I'm going to ask you, when you see me being patient, call me out, really call me out. So the other thing I learned at the deli was a non-judgmental attitude. Now, Buddhists are very big on non-judgmental attitudes because you cannot get inside people's heads. I'm a psychologist, and you cannot get inside people's heads unless they let you in. Okay? So one day I went up to the clerk and I said, you're going to think this is silly, but I want 3 slices of this. She said, why is that silly? I said, who orders 3 slices of something? She says, people do all the time. I said, well, I know why I'm ordering only 3 slices, but I don't know why anybody else would. And she said, oh, they have all kinds of reasons. But she says, sometimes that's all people can afford. And she says, what I sometimes do is I'll cut a few slices off that I know we can use elsewhere so they get the bigger part. And she says, I try to charge them the least I can and still be honest. I thought, oh my goodness. No judgment about what people buy, if they buy a slice or 2 slices or 5 slices or 5 pounds. No judgment. And the other thing I learned about no judgment at the deli was this lady came up and she did not know what she wanted. And I noticed her clothes and I thought, ooh, she doesn't have a lot of money. And I was making a judgment, okay? But I used to be in customer service. I used to be in sales. So we would often look at people's clothes because they can tell you something. And so I thought, oh, well, she didn't know if she wanted this or that or this or that. And with no judgment, realizing this lady wasn't going to buy a lot, the clerk gave her little samples of things. And then I thought, this may be a way of getting some food. I mean, if I were hungry, this would be an ingenious way of doing it. And then she ordered, believe it or not, 3 slices of the things she finally settled on. And the clerk, you could see there was no judgment. There was just, she's a customer, and I don't care how she does this. I don't care if she has $2 in her pocket. I'm going to treat her the same way without any judgment about who she is. I was driving in St. Louis. I saw a mother and a child begging, and it just tore my heart. So I handed them some money. Next week, I go past the same corner. I see the same mother and child, and I go, oh my God, this is what they're doing to make money. She's trying to tug on people's heartstrings. This is somewhat of a scam. So I say that to one of my friends, I said, I don't know what to think anymore. And she said, you don't know that it's a scam. You don't know. You know nothing about those people. She works the street corner to collect money. That's all you know. And people's cars stop and give her money. Why are you making up a story about her? Yeah. Why was I being so judgmental? Why was I even thinking that it might be a scam? Maybe that was truly all that woman could do. I didn't think about the lesson at the deli till after my friend took me to task, called me out. But I think that non-judgmental attitude is something I want to carry through my life. I don't want to make up stories about people in my head. I don't want to think, go get a job. There's a McDonald's right there with the sign. Some people can't take the pressure of those kind of jobs. And maybe that was all the woman could do, was sit on the street corner. Maybe I should have thought of her with the same non-judgmental attitude I learned in the deli. I like going to my deli. I like going to my deli because I like the clerks. I like it because I don't like cooking for one, and some days I just don't want to do it. I like going there because they actually have some healthy foods. And I'm going to continue to stand in line and wait my turn with patience and watch the clerks take care of people. And I'm going to continue to learn lessons, life lessons from going to the deli. I'm going to remember that I don't have to call everybody out every time I think I should. I'm going to remember that even my little actions should be effective. I'm going to remember that small things like kindness may cost me, and that's okay. I'm going to remember humility can be important, even when a person is being officious. I'm working on patience, and I'm really working on having a non-judgmental attitude. Those are the lessons I learned at the deli, and I hope that I can stay present and not let my mind float away, as the hymn says, and learn more lessons. Amen. So may it be. Please rise, if you are able, and sing our final hymn, There Is More Love, number 95 in the gray hymnal. Please be seated. As we approach the time for our offering, give what you will, I invite you to give today when our usher lane will collect our offering, or either by mail or by using the Giveify app. Doing so will help us meet our financial responsibility to you so that we can remain together as a congregation. This morning's offering will be most sincerely and gratefully received. May it be lovingly given. Please join me in our offering prayer, which is projected on our screen. May this offering equip us to inspire love and seek justice. Are there any announcements? Okay, no one gave me any either. Joy? Okay, so we don't have any announcements today. As we opened our service with the lighting of a chalice, we close our service with the extinguishing of a chalice. Please join me in saying the words projected on the screen as we extinguish our chalice. The light. Keepers of us till we meet again. We are grateful to Joy Heft, our pianist, and to our tech team, Katie Heft and Alex Heft, who did a marvelous job this morning against really bad odds, so that was really great. And thank you to our usher Lane. Please remain seated as Joy plays our postlude, then join us in the worker room behind that door for coffee and conversation. Have a good day.